Welcome. We'll begin this morning with questions.
Yeah, I will go on with the questions I had yesterday. First, thank you for your simple and good answer. It was about how about pointing out points of view. And my question, it's especially when it's in a close relationship, maybe, because then I'm directly influenced in a way by what my partner, for example, is doing, and when he's always filtering out the words I say, for example, with through his things, then it's sometimes hard not to react to it or not to point it out, and actually I wanted to ask more, but it's not really coming.
How long have you been pointing it out to him?
Yeah, I've been pointing it out quite a long time.
How long exactly?
In my last relationship for a year, and the relationship before for 1.5 years.
Okay. More about that?
Right now, no.
Mm-hmm. Someone else?
Maybe one day you said very often that all the circumstances are perfect in whatever circumstances I am, and that there's nothing to change when I'm resting, that there's no need to change anything, for example the partner or the job. And but it might come the situation that I just feel heartfelt by resting, and suddenly I know I go, for example. And then it's a change. It's a change.
Very good.
Yes, 2 days ago in the text, in the first line, you was talking about the mind as the constant protector. And it was just stuck in my mind, protector to who and what, and from who and what.
Anyone else? This is your opportunity here to especially ask anything you're too shy to ask or that you don't want to ask. This is a perfect place to ask it.
When we get rid of the stories and the appearances, and we get rid of the pain or grievances or whatever, do we not get rid of the happiness and joy as well? Are we not left with nothing? It's a bit simple, but that's what...
That's a lovely question. Awareness is indestructible. Like space, it's completely indestructible. So another way to say that is that, like a range of mighty golden mountains, awareness is indestructible, completely indestructible. Now, many times we've taken ourselves to be destructible. We think we're born and that we're going to die. So from the get-go, once we learn that we are, we feel that we can be destroyed with the finality of death. So this is a point of view that is indoctrinated from early on. As soon as we're born, everyone says, "Oh, here's my baby. I'm so glad you were born." Or most people say that anyway, at least for a while. Till there's crying all night, then you know. But there's this idea that we're born, and that's constantly reinforced in us. And so this idea that we're born is very much in the background of everything all the time, this idea that we're born, because what comes with this idea that we were born is that that's going to end. What was born is going to die. And so when we are introduced to awareness, usually when we're introduced to awareness, something is said about awareness being unborn. And that, in fact, as awareness is the essence of what we are, that we also are unborn. Well, this then goes against everything we've heard so far. First of all, we've heard that we're born, and suddenly we're hearing we're unborn. So the first thing that we usually try to do if we've been thinking a lot and taking our life to be our thoughts and emotions is we start to think about how we're unborn. And we go from the extreme of being born to the extreme of being unborn. So you see, the extreme of born as being an extreme, birth is being in an extreme point of view, but also being unborn is an extreme point of view. What is meant when we're introduced to awareness that the unborn and the born are not two. So there's nothing to make out of it. It can't be characterized in any way whatsoever. Nowadays, there are many teachings that are really expressions of nihilism. They say that the self does not exist, everything comes from nothing, and it leads to nothing. And then there are all these statements made that are related to that. And there's kind of a dialogue, kind of the non-dual shuffle of a way of speaking or characterizing reality that is kind of an end to conversation. It's really an extreme act of avoidance of relationship, where we learn a little bit about what it is to be unborn, and then as we had been setting out to prove we were born for a long time, we set out to prove we're unborn, and we set out to prove to everyone else that they're unborn too. So, you know, if someone says to us, "See you later," we say, "It isn't in time." or "You were unborn. who was unborn to what? I mean, these things are in the ethers everywhere these days. We all hear them. So this we could call the non-dual shuffle. It's just it's another act of avoidance of relationship, of just relaxing as that which is totally uncharacterized and letting everything be it as it is, which is mutually interpenetrating, totally connected, wide open and free, loving and spacious, with no pretense or contrivance anywhere. Just sweetness, utter delight and sweetness with nothing else going on. So I can tell that I rang a lot of bells when I said that, because, probably many of us have done that too. So you see, most importantly, indestructible awareness is without contrivance. And when it says that in resting as awareness and gaining familiarity with awareness, that there is nothing that need be done, it means that there's nothing that need be done about thoughts and emotions that appear. They'll vanish naturally on their own. There's nothing that needs to be done about that. It doesn't mean that we never do anything. We just sit around and never do anything. That isn't what it means. Again, there's no extreme to be taken. Not either that of a doer or no doer. The doer and the non-doer are not two. And you see, this can never be characterized or expressed in words. It's expressed only in the naturalness of being, in the complete open naturalness of being, in which there's never been a division anywhere. And that complete naturalness of being is really one, quite simply, of happiness and total joy and love. When we're not holding to thoughts and emotions and saying, oh, this one I indulge, this one I reject, when we're not holding to that, we're no longer throwing ourselves into the turmoil of on-love. Whether it's our own thoughts and emotions or other people's thoughts and emotions and words, they're equally empty of an independent nature. So we rest as indestructible awareness in the face of all appearances. And as indestructible awareness, though, then we live as wisdom. So our mind, the glow of wisdom shines from mind. And mind doesn't have an address. So we say mind, when we first hear that, we usually think it's in here somewhere. But the more we rest as the essence of awareness, we see that mind and awareness are synonymous, and they're indestructible, an indestructible infinite expanse. And then as we rest as that with our own thoughts and emotions and experiences, we see more and more that awareness really is indestructible. How do we see that? We're not affected by what appears. To us, it's like whatever appears in awareness is like light being poured into light, or space being poured into space. There's nothing that can be said about it. It's an expanse of complete evenness, of complete equalness, in which nothing that appears is unequal. And that is our sole source of contentment, of ease, of benefit, of immediate benefit to ourselves and immediate benefit to others. Now, if we're in a relationship like the relationship you mentioned, that kind of thing is common to everyone that's in relationship. When we get together, everything is fantastic, it feels so good, we know there'll never be anything like this again, ever. We feel like we're the luckiest person on earth. We just want to be together all the time. We don't want to spend a moment apart most of the time. At least at some point we feel that way. And there's just this total openness of complete love and sweetness. And then after a while that goes away. And because we start out saying, I'm in love, and I'm in love because of this person. I met this person, and this is the reason that I'm in love. So these are very subtle points of view where we attribute causes and results to everything that happens. And so we've had this result of love, and the cause is the person we've met. And so when we think they're the source of the love, when the love disappears, we think they're the source of the disappearance of the love too. And this is just too painful to bear. And we don't really know how to put it into words because we can't really think that clearly about what's going on if we're living based on all our points of view. So then we say to the other person, well, I think you need to change. But what's really behind that is that we want the love to return. And so in a kind of an ambivalent, mixed up way, we're saying, if you change, then the love will return. If you stop talking to me that way that you always talk to me, or if you'll just put a towel down when you get out of the shower instead of leaving a puddle on the floor for me to slip in, or if you'll just peel the potatoes my way instead of your way, then I know the love will return. Please do this and it'll be okay. And so we all know what this is like because many of us have been through it, right? And but when we're resting as indestructible awareness, then that is the basis of everything. So we don't get ruffled by these things that we were once ruffled by. And we see that awareness is indestructible in the immediacy of our own experience. It's not a philosophy we read about in a book, memorize, and then just repeatedly say to ourselves, oh, I'm indestructible awareness. That isn't the way it is. Awareness, which can't be characterized in any way whatsoever, is only known in the decisive experience of it, in which whatever appears is like light being poured into light. That's how we realize the indestructibility of awareness in our own actual experience, where whatever appears in our thoughts, emotions, and experiences, we're able to be with that without impediment, without any kind of unease ever entering our being in any way. So there's just always this basis of ease, even if there's tremendous upset. There's this basis of ease. We hear we're going to die of cancer, or heart disease, or whatever it is. There's complete ease, the ground of complete ease as the entire experience of the hearing of it and anything else we might go through. Or, we have an accident or whatever it is. In indestructible awareness, there's never being pushed out of that because everything is that, so there's really nowhere to be pushed. There's just in the decisiveness of our own experience that which is unwavering and cannot be swayed by anything. This is very important. Now, when we talk about indestructible awareness, it's really important to know a little bit about what indestructible awareness is. So traditionally there are what are talked about as the 3 gates to indestructible awareness, or the 3 doors to liberation. And these are very, very, very important. So if you can, please pay attention to what I'm going to say. The first is emptiness, the great emptiness. That's one of the gates. Now, what does that mean? It means that indestructible awareness is forever flawless and empty. It's never had anything in it. Whatever appears is it, so it has never had anything at all in it. It's never had any taint or flaw or stain ever anywhere within it. It's stainless, flawless, pure space. This is the nature of the great emptiness. When we rest as indestructible awareness, we rest as that emptiness, as that complete emptiness of everything, no matter what it is. that emptiness, it states that everything is already at ease. As everything is stainless, everything is completely at ease. Its essence is complete contentment, complete contentment. And that emptiness is not a void. That emptiness simply states that everything, no matter what it is that appears, is awareness, and that it has no independent nature other than awareness. So no matter what appears, it has no substance or identity in its own right. This is the great emptiness of indestructible awareness. No matter what appears, no matter how much power we've thought any appearance has had in the past, we find that it is stainless space. And we don't know that by thinking about it. We know that by the imperturbable ease of awareness that is the essence of our own being and that is naturally present in every moment. So in this way we realize the gate of emptiness, the great emptiness, that everything, no matter what it is absent of an independent origin, that it has never been produced, it's never been made into something. This is the great emptiness. Now, the second gate is absence of characteristics or conceptionlessness. And this is very, very important. What this means is that indestructible awareness that is forever empty, stainless, and flawless, it cannot be characterized in any way. That means it cannot be expressed in words. So please stop trying to characterize it. Please stop trying, at least for a little while, to express it in your own words. Very often this is just another way of substantializing our own personal identity as being something, by having our own way of speaking about awareness, whatever that is. At least for a while, please just rest as this great emptiness that does not need to be described in any way. Not through metaphoric approximation or any other way. Give yourself a break. Please give yourself a break. And the last gate is absence of speculation or absence of a goal. And what this gate implies is that we just rest as not needing to perpetuate the idea that there is some kind of goal or destination that we're headed to. In stainless space, there just is no destination. There's no goal anywhere. It's timeless, locationless. It doesn't have a center, a periphery. It doesn't have any description whatsoever. So there's nothing whatsoever to speculate about. So to get caught up in constantly thinking about a destination, like, am I there yet? Or when am I going to be there, or I was there but then I fell out of it, or whatever it might be. Absence of speculation is to simply rest as no goal, to rest as no destination. No need to think about it, write about it, speak about it. So these three, the great emptiness that cannot be characterized in any way whatsoever, that is absent, completely absent of a goal, that has never been a goal or destination at any time, anywhere, to anyone. These are the three. Now this, just in talking about it, oh wow, what a relief, huh? Just complete ease. The complete ease of being just as it is. So yes, take it easy. Take it easy. There's no effort in light pouring into light. There's no effort in space pouring into space. If we drew a circle around a point in flawless sky, a little section of flawless sky, it wouldn't mean anything, you know. There's no way to separate anything out from flawlessness. There never has been. And if you're ever meant to speak about flawless, stainless, indestructible awareness, those words will come like a flow of golden nectar that can't be stopped. But until that time, just give yourself a break, and just allow the complete ease of being that does not need to be described to be as effortless as it is. This is very easy, you know, very simple, very direct. The naturalness of our own being guarantees indestructible awareness as it is. We would not have any awareness whatsoever of being here without indestructible awareness. So it's not a place we need to get to. It's just the indestructible awareness that is the complete perceptual openness of what is right here, that is complete and identical with every other moment. It's just that, without ever needing to get into descriptions about anything. And that awareness is a font, like a fountain. That's what that word means. It's an unending fountain of love, wisdom, and energy. Love, wisdom, energy, completely inseparable from complete compassion. Completely, potently beneficial compassion. And what does that mean? Well, compassion means superb helpfulness. That's its practical application. Superb helpfulness, just the inability to even restrain or think about restraining in any way the flow of love, the flow of helpfulness, completely unrestrained, seeing through everything, never seeing anything as anything other than itself. In seeing through everything, everything is equal, everything is even, no matter what it was before that. And so to just relax, to completely relax, and that, to know that everything as it is, even though it may have many, many descriptions, that's not its ultimate description. It's a vivid appearance of emptiness. That's its ultimate description. A vivid appearance of emptiness that can't be described in any way. It's completely indescribable. A lot of times we look for love by trying to arrange a lot of loving appearances, what we take to be loving appearances. But how do we really know what love is unless we're familiar with awareness, with our own awareness? We don't really know. Again, we only have a description about what love might be, or some ideas about what love might be. The love of our own being, in our own being, is already guaranteed. No one else can give it to us or take it away from us. When we go beyond the need to identify everything as a source of happiness or suffering related to a personal identity, then there's just wide open space, wide open love, wide open happiness, wide open joy. And when we think that love, happiness, and joy come from arranging appearances so that they'll be happy, joyous, and loving, then it's amazing when we find out that The source of happiness, joy, and love is simply awareness. Awareness that has no need to make stories out of everything that appears. All the stories made out of what appears are horror stories. There's no need to make anything out of anything. And this is wisdom. This is every appearance, no matter what it is a wisdom appearance. But if we make a story out of it that says it's something other than wisdom, then we can never know the true love at the basis. We can never know the true happiness at the basis. We can never know the true joy at the basis. So this is just as simple as relaxing. Relaxing into that which has no story. When the old familiar stories come up, this thought, that emotion, that memory, whatever it might be, to just relax. Relax as that which has never had a story about anything. Much easier way to live. There are lots of stories about everything these days. Have you noticed that? There are endless stories, and that's something we can count on. All of our lives there will be all these appearances and the endless stories about them. So, it's just up to us. How do we want to live? What's our storyline going to be? To understand thoughts and emotions in an ordinary way through psychology or intellectual speculation is so limiting. Then we only know a lifetime based on all kinds of conventional labels of what everybody has to say about everything. Oh, you're angry today because someone said something you didn't like, and because of that you're going to be in a bad mood all day, or whatever it is. So you see, this is the story. But if that appearance of anger comes up and there's no story, then there's no story. There's the ease of no story about anything. So in the beginning, it's as simple as, what do we want? The story. And it's roller coaster ride of emotional reactivity and compulsive thinking, or do we want to know the no story in the story? To allow ourselves just the complete ease of not describing anything is what it means to put an end to the story. All the stories, whatever they might be. And we all have them, no matter what they are. But, there's either the story or wisdom. But as long as there's story, there's no wisdom. And no story, there's instantaneous wisdom. Wisdom that is absolutely stainless and clear like space, in which there's the simultaneous exhaustion of all faults we've been trying to correct and the perfection of qualities. Now, this is what the word Buddha actually means. The word Buddha, whether it's in Sanskrit, the word Buddha is Sanskrit, but this is what it means, those two syllables. And in Tibetan, it's Sangye. The first syllable means exhaustion of faults. The last syllable means perfection of qualities, but not as a destination. The simultaneous exhaustion of faults and perfection of qualities that is the wisdom of resting as indestructible awareness with no story about anything. Especially about all the ways you have to go about getting to be aware. There aren't any ways and means at all. And the moment there's persistence in thinking that there are ways and means and a destination and someone going there, that's one of the biggest stories you'll ever tell yourself. Whether stories are spiritual or non-spiritual, they're still stories. So what can't be altered in any way, can't be affected by any conventional descriptions whatsoever, is stainlessness, flawlessness, the awareness by which we know we are. When we get familiar with that, then there's wisdom. So that's very simple. Wisdom that is beyond all the stories. Simply an enjoyable and nice way to live. No big deal. Absolutely no big deal. So if you're looking for a big deal, stop looking. The big deal you're looking for is nothing compared to this.